Hey guys, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the 5 things that you should not do in your automatic transmission car. Before we get started, if you want to see more automotive content or Subaru WRX content, please subscribe. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is coasting in neutral and coasting down hills. The real question here is, should you ever put your car in neutral? Now my answer is no, for a couple reasons. The first reason is what most people will think is, hey, let's say I'm going down a hill. What happens if I put my car in neutral? Am I going to save some gas? And, there's a lot of people out there, and I think it's a big myth, there's a lot of people out there that think if they put their car in neutral and, let's say, coast down a hill, they're going to save gas mileage. So I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you put your car in neutral, your engine RPMs actually will increase a little bit than when you have it in drive. What your car will do, and sorry for the bumpy ride, we're on a bumpy road, what your car will do is it will actually divert a little bit more gas to the engine while you're in neutral to have it primed and ready for your next drive. Now, if you're going up and you have to encounter something like a hill, what happens with modern transmissions is when you're in drive, your transmission will actually feed your engine a little bit less gas. Well, at least it will tell your ECU to, and you'll be powered mostly by your wheels and the weight of the car. The transmissions will actually interact with the ECU to make sure that you're going to be using less gas mileage, so your engine will no longer be powering you. Now, if you put it in neutral in that same situation, you're going to maintain a certain RPM in your engine, and that is going to maintain a certain gas consumption. There's 2 other key reasons why you shouldn't be putting your car in neutral to coast down hills. The first, it's illegal in a lot of states. From the last number, I think I found it was illegal in 15 states. But yeah, so it could be illegal in the state that you live in. You should search your local laws for that. But the other reason that's really important is when you have your car in neutral and you're moving, you then need to engage into drive again if you want to, move forward and not come to a full stop. Now, when you go from neutral to drive and you're moving at a certain speed, you may not need, your transmission may need to go into 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th gear. Now, if you do that, it's going to put a lot of stress on your transmission because all of a sudden you have a lot of torque and power going to your transmission, and that could cause transmission problems in the long run. Number 2 on our list today of things that could destroy your automatic transmission, this one could destroy it, it's not just bad for you, it could destroy it, is launching an automatic car. Automatic transmissions, unless pre-designed to, are not designed to launch. I've seen a lot of people launch their automatic transmission cars, and I've sat passenger for it, and it's a teeth grinding experience. Whether you're revving it up in neutral or you're stamping on the brake and revving it up, there are multiple systems in your car that you're really going to ultimately be braking here. For the same reason you shouldn't go from neutral to drive, you shouldn't rev your engine up in neutral and start. You're going to put a lot of stress and power into your transmission, and it could ultimately break your transmission. Number 3 on our list today is something that's, a smaller thing, but it still happens. People will often stop at a red light, stop at a stop sign. If they have to stop for a long period of time, they'll put their car in neutral, thinking it's going to save gas. And it goes back to the first thing that we discussed. Cars in neutral will often let the engine rest at higher RPMs. So you're better off keeping it in drive, at letting your ECU recognize that you're not moving and not feeding that extra fuel to your engine. Number 4 will be, when you're changing from drive to reverse, so let's say you're backing out of a parking spot, you need to come to a full stop. You don't want to be backing up. I'll give you an example. I'm backing up. You want to make sure I don't hit anyone. You want to make sure you come to a full stop, like I just did, and then put it in drive. The reason that's important, again, is for your transmission. Your transmission is a rotating component that takes power, often passed through your torque converter, actually most of the time. Now what happens is if it's spinning one way, or taking rotational torque in one direction, and you don't let it stop before you apply a rotating torque in the opposite direction, again, you're putting a lot of stress on a delicate transmission. And transmissions aren't easy to rebuild. They're relatively fragile. Now we're talking cars here. They'll that you can beat on a transmission. But if you do things like you don't stop fully when you're going from reverse to drive a lot, it's fragile. It will break on you. And the last thing is going from drive, so let's say I'm pulling into a parking spot, into park in your car. So going into park engages something called a locking pin in your transmission. Now, locking pins are often hard to get to in your transmission if you break it, and can be a costly thing to fix. So it's an easy thing to do to make sure you're at a full stop before you put your car in park. Thanks for watching, guys. Please comment below if you have any other things that you shouldn't do in an automatic transmission.